ready to go. All right, well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. This is the Invincible Health Series with Dr. Vin, and I'm Krista Gervon, the Communications Director at Princeton Integrative Health. This month is April, and it is Stress Awareness Month. So we are using this time to talk to Dr. Vinny about how stress impacts our brain, and we're doing these events throughout the month. So definitely be sure to check out our Facebook page for other upcoming events about stress and how an integrative approach to our health can really help manage and mitigate the stress in our life. But today we're talking about stress in the brain specifically. So Dr. Vinny, can you tell us how stress impacts our brain?
Not good.
No, not at all.
I mean, really, that's the bottom line. But I mean, obviously, there's more detail than that. But yeah, it affects it in many different ways. You know, it kind of puts the brain on hyper alert. You know, certain areas of the brain, the amygdala, where that's responsible for a lot of the stress responses, stress hormones, gets hyper vigilant. So that's an area that hypertrophies, and maybe, you know, it's constantly on the lookout for stress, causes anxiety, depression, poor sleeping. Whereas the other areas like the prefrontal cortex, you know, if a lot of your resources are going to the amygdala looking out for, you know, things that are very stressful, the prefrontal cortex would help with higher decision making and that kind of thing, doesn't work as well.
Got it. Okay, so that was a lot of scientific effects on the brain. How does that really translate into how we, in our daily life, like what kinds of things would, you know, we notice how stress is impacting our brain?
Yeah, so people notice everything from, as I mentioned, anxiety, depression, you know, that chronic worrying that you have, that, you know, that a stressful event is going to pop up. It depletes, you know, people's memories. People don't make memories as well. There's actually research that shows that if you're using your resources, you know, constantly scanning the environment and worrying about things, that you don't make memories so well. Part of that is, you know, what we're paying attention to. If we're paying attention to those stressful events all the time, it's hard to pay attention to what's going on in the environment. But there's also evidence, again, that if you're using your brain resources for those constantly scanning the environment, even if you see something, you may not just be able to form that memory, or somebody told you something. You know, how many times have I heard my wife tell me that, you know, I just told you that. Well, geez, I was
Distracted and
thinking about something stressful at that point, and the memory just did not form. So over time, you know, those are things, isolated incidents that happen, but over time, it really does push people who are vulnerable for other reasons towards, you know, dementia, if you will.
so it has a lot.
Memories.
It mostly affects our short-term memory then, correct?
Yeah, again, like, yeah, a lot of dementias, more short-term memory effects. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Is there any type of stress that is good for our brain? Like, I mean, know that, you know, it's not exactly good to stress out over things, but, you know, is there any type of, you know, is there good stress and bad stress?
Sure. Well, yeah, I don't know if there's good. Yeah, well, let's see. So we obviously cannot lead a stress-free life. I mean, that's impossible. Yeah, everybody has stress in their lives. Stress that is good, if you will, is stress that you feel like you have some control over, you can manage, it's not overwhelming to you. You know, as I look at my day, today, for example, if I feel like I can handle that day, even though I might have to, you know, keep moving, you know, keep doing things, you know, that's not a stressful day. But I worked ER for 24 years. So I have kind of an inside, you know, look at what a very stressful job could look like. And some days were extremely stressful, but other days, you know, for me, I think it's what you get used to. It's how you develop coping mechanisms. I was able to develop those coping mechanisms. Things that I think would have bothered a lot of other people. The more you're doing something like that, the more you learn
Right.
coping mechanisms. Things that were stressful when I first started out in my career, and year one, in year 24, were not really all that stressful anymore. But it's always going to be a super stressful event. So, if some tragedy happened to some family, no matter how many coping mechanisms you have, that's going to be an extremely stressful event. Um, so,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I would say that, again, that illustrates another point. If you have coping mechanisms, um, whatever you're doing, then and stress becomes manageable, then you are less stressed out by it. And if you don't have coping mechanisms that can help with that, then you are stressed out. So, certain life events are going to be stressful for anyone. I don't care who you are.
Right.
A loved one dies, something like that. Stressful for everyone.
Yeah.
Bad job, bad boss. You don't have ways to deal with that. You're kind of anxious about that all the time. That, I think, is one of the biggest stressors in people's lives. Bad relationships that we don't know how to cope with. I think those are things that are stressful. If people learn coping mechanisms, or they can get out of the situation, or they feel like they have some control over the situation, I think things are better for people.
Yeah, absolutely. Coping mechanisms are so important. Are there any that you would recommend in order to mitigate or help better manage stress so that it doesn't impact the brain in the ways that we've discussed?
Yeah, I mean, I think being mindful of things, planning. For me, if I have my day, if I know what my day is going to look like, and I can plan my day out, and even though something unexpected may come up, I'm much better able to deal with it. So planning, being organized, I think helps. Having ways to cope if in that moment something stressful happens, whether it's just taking a minute to yourself, just to kind of like gather yourself. Some people like to do breathing exercises. Getting control of your breathing is one of the best ways that people can get control of stressful situations. Some people call it square breathing. Breathing in for 4 seconds, holding your breath for 4 seconds, breathing out for 4 seconds, holding your breath there for 4 seconds. Just getting some control over your breath actually gives you some control over your physiology, and then over the situation. So things like that. So that's kind of a more of an immediate thing. And then longer term, again, meditation is a great thing. Making sure you're getting proper sleep, because if you don't have proper sleep, you're much less able to deal with stress properly. Your mind cannot kind of even clear itself of the stress you've had the day before if you don't get good sleep. So it just kind of tends to accumulate all those effects. Some people find activity, going for a walk, going for a run, those kind of things. Again, those are longer term things. That's not kind of in the moment kind of thing. And just having, for me as an ER physician, it was having perspective over the years that, something bad happened. I would be like, okay, did anybody die? I would ask myself. And if that answer was no, then I'm like, well, we could work on anything else, and that would help the whole team usually. So, um,
Yeah, I think it's a good time for us to be talking about stress management and stress awareness month, just because everyone's been under a large amount of stress over the past year. So it's good to, I think, talk about it and make sure that everyone's aware that it's not just them, you're not alone, and that there are ways to manage it. And, if you are struggling, give us a call and maybe we can help out. We just need to, get a handle on it. And then there's many different ways that we can help with managing it.
yes, I didn't mention nutrition, but obviously good nutrition, eating well also helps. Yeah, so I guess I'm curious, people that are here, or do they have any questions? Do they have any, anything they want to bring up?
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, either unmute yourself or you can type it in the chat if you'd rather do that. I'll go see if there's any questions on Facebook as well. But yeah, I'm glad you brought up nutrition because, like I said earlier, we are going to have a series of different events related to stress and how, how to mitigate and manage it. And we will be talking about nutrition on one of those on April 21st with Jenna. And we're also going to have one regarding acupuncture with Joe and chiropractic with Dr. Connie, as well as Regina. So there's going to be all these different events if you are interested in learning more about different ways to cope with stress. Let me just see here. Yeah, would you like to mention anything else?
I'm just curious if anybody here is on Clubhouse yet. Are you on Clubhouse, Krista?
You know what? I have just been told about it, so I'm going to check it out. I keep meaning to, and I haven't yet.
You have to be invited to check it out, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't.
I can give you an invitation. That's fine.
Oh, Teresa Bell says that she is. Yes.
Okay. So starting next Thursday, kind of right after this show, I will have a show on Clubhouse through Unblinded. So I'm going to call it the Unblinded Dr. Vin's Health Series to help people see what they don't see about their health and to, see what the roadblocks are to people reaching their goals, whatever they are, whether they're health goals, whether they're business goals. And because, what I tell people is what is wealth without health? So, we want to make sure that everybody's healthy, has the vitality and power that they need to accomplish their goals. So I think Marianne said, what is Clubhouse? That's kind of a new online social media thing that's happening. It's meant to be set up like a club. You have to be invited in. But there are rooms you go in there and you could scan the rooms to see what's going on, to see if something interests you, and then go into that room. As Tressa said, it's an audio only drop-in chat area. Yes, that's a great way to describe it. But different rooms, different topics. Sometimes there are people, there's a guy by the name of Les Brown, who is a great personal development guy, and he was in a room. I just happened to go in, and he was in a room talking with people. So it's just interesting to see who's on there and that kind of thing. As Tressa said, it's in beta testing. You have to have an Apple iPhone to get in right now, or an iPad. Hopefully they'll extend it. I'm sure it'll be extended to the Android system at some point, but right now, while it's still in beta, it's only for Apple users. So people are going out and buying, used iPads or used iPhones, just specifically if they want to be on Clubhouse. That's what people are doing to get on if they don't have the iPhone. So have you checked it out at all, Tressa?
Yes, I actually have hosted rooms on there before.
Yeah. Oh, okay. There we go. Great.
I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for 13 years, and I recently discovered the benefits of cannabis. So it's mostly CBD oils and stuff. So I get on there and I do chats about cannabis nursing.
Cool. Well, I'm a cannabis physician, right?
I did not know that, actually.
So I am. So
nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you. Well, great. We should chat offline about all that. And, yeah.
I'd love that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we actually have a cannabis consultant educator in the practice also, who's got a lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah,
so.
That's what I'm looking. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna say that's what I'm looking to do, is actually start my own business with doing cannabis consulting.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. We'll have to talk.
Yeah, on April 20th, kind of apropos too, that's when I'll be having a discussion with Regina about the effects or the impact of cannabis use and medical marijuana and stress. So that'll be next Tuesday.
I'll be there for that.
Okay. Tressa, do you know how to get a hold of me?
I do not.
Okay. Let me give you the office phone number, and then just call and leave a message, and we'll connect. Okay.
All right.
So
let me grab a pen. Sorry. Okay, go ahead.
it's 609-512-1468.
I just got it in the chat too for anyone else who
Thank you.
call for any
Yep.
reason. We offer 30-minute discovery sessions where you can call and speak with someone to discuss any challenges or questions that you might have, to see if you would like to come and see us.
That's
All right.
wonderful.
Wonderful. Great. All right. Any other questions from anybody? All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank you so much for coming, everyone. Oh, sorry.
And we'll see you next week. And then I'll be going right over to Clubhouse after this next week to start that series.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome,
I'll check it out on
Marianne.
Clubhouse.
What's that, Tressa? Oh. All right.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Hope to see you at some of our other events throughout the month of April. And otherwise, Dr. Vinny and I will be back here next week at 4:30 as well. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks again.